shit. But you're proving our point, bro. You will get up here and talk all this nonsense, all this bullshit. You can't explain anything. It's gonna take your slow ass a year to be able to explain this one figure. I'm being serious. You don't have the background. It's gonna take you a year to understand it. It's not gonna take a while. It'll take you years. Even if you regurgitate it to me, no, it's not, because you're not gonna have to understand it.
I already
Each piece of this.
Plenty of these stuff.
Free Saturday, right?
Wait, stop. What did you say? Wait, stop. What did you call it? What did you say? Regurgitated. What did you say?
Regurgitated plenty of these studies to you, and others, and Dr.
What is it? Stop. What does regurgitation mean?
Stop.
What does regurgitation mean?
Taking something in and barfing it back out.
Okay, so then why would you say regurgitation like it's a good thing?
Because you constantly put up studies that support your point. Your people, your point of view owns the studies, owns the method.
Chillaxing.
Wrong again. We can go to any country. No, not maybe now. We can go to any. Excuse me. Bro, are you stupid?
Go ahead. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My fault, bro. You had to brief the Surgeon General on COVID when you were Captain Army. My bad. You oversaw the Army's COVID response for years. My fault. My bad, G. My bad. I apologize. My fault. You were writing documents that were literally on the president's daily brief when you were in the Army. My bad. My fault, G. My bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. You were doing these critical assessments for these people when you were in the Army, right? My bad. I apologize. You received an accommodation from Congress for your work. My bad, bro. I'm sorry, my G. My bad. I'm sorry. I apologize, bro. I gotta put some respect on your name, my G. My bad, G. I'm sorry.
I think we should be clear that I'm not
my bad.
Trying to come at you for that.
No, I apologize to you. I just apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been unfair. I've been unfair to you. You know? Hey, I got a fucking plaque on my chimney from Congress when I received a direct commission from a congressman in Texas.
Let's do.
I didn't start as an 01. I started as an 03. I was direct commission.
What is Saturday?
Special session. But no, I'm sorry. My bad.
Dr. Gold, man, your degree was from Donald Trump University, man. What are you talking about, bro?
Man, I got my shit out of cereal box. My bad. My bad. You know what I mean? Look, listen, bro. You know, I got to just default to the dude that does my crown molding for a brand. My fault, G. My bad. I apologize, bro. My fault. Hey, man, you know how I'm feeling, man. I'm apologizing to you, bro. My fault. My bad. My bad, bro. I'm sorry.
Accepted.
Well, just.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I understand statistics and that you don't. And I mean, you don't understand, man. You don't understand really anything about this. Like, it's obvious. Like, even you asking me what an odds ratio is. It's kind of telling that you really have no exposure to stats at all.
Oh, sure.
My bad.
We're scheduling. Sure.
The odds of something happening, but I did not know it was going on.
The figure
Well, what do you expect? This isn't my job. Why are you guys so insecure that other people can't read for themselves? They're not trying to tell you what to do. They're reading for themselves.
Do you know?
Oh, it's going and flowing.
Like, this is an insecurity. Genuinely, do you know what the word insecure means?
Yes. I
Okay.
think you're both insecure.
It's going well.
For whatever reason, you have a lot to do.
We're back to emotional appeal. Yeah. In the absence of evidence, we're back to emotional.
Okay, apparently I am insecure because we showed that he is unable to do the reading and make decisions. Again, it's a little bit wild that we're still hearing stuff like anyone can read the literature and understand it hey, what does OR mean?
Well,
That-
did I make someone ask me to list out all of my qualifications in education? No, that was you. That was not me.
Sure, we can do Friday.
I mean, if we're talking about insecurity, I didn't ask somebody.
Do
to do
not-
that. I'm very secure in my
For
qualifications.
me, the issue is comprehension, not just reading comprehension. So, just to recap, the reason that I asked your qualifications was to make the point that you have to have certain qualifications to read and contextualize and analyze papers. You seem to be struggling with that concept. So then Dr. Copeland gave you a couple papers and asked you to look at them because you say that anyone can read them, that it's not magic, that anyone should be able to understand them if they read them. You were unable to read
I
the
didn't say that.
first
Yes, you
one.
did.
The
No,
first
I
one
said
was
I could read them and understand them, but I can't do it from the type and the figure. I have to read the study. I'll have to look up certain terminology.
That's not what you said. Come on.
They,
okay, but
That's not a lie. It's exactly what I said.
either way, Dr. Copeland admitted that the first paper he gave you was a little bit dense. It had nothing to do with vaccines. So then he gave you a second paper and asked you to look at the figure. Now, you can make all the arguments you want to about, oh no, I can't look at a figure without looking at the paper. That's not actually what a person who can actually read a paper would need to do. They can look at the figure and kind of understand what the figure is telling them without reading the whole paper. But that isn't even the problem. The problem is that you have made decisions for your children about vaccines, which is your right as a parent, based on your claims that you have done the research, but you don't know what OR stands for, which means you have read papers that have OR in them, and you don't fucking understand what that means. That is an insane that I never thought I'd ever have to say.
Dr. Priya, I have to interrupt you because as someone that actually worked in the medical field, what pisses me off is you, Dr. Cole, Rohan, Pelican, you guys always give people grace, man. And it's like, dude, like, you don't see what we see. First off, Dr. Priya has put out lungs from human beings. Dr. Cole has done genetic work. Like, I'm studying, disease, man. Like, dude, what pisses me off is that you don't do what we do, man. And it's like, dude, we do research. And it's like, what the hell? Why do you come up on stage and you do all this stuff, man? I'm sorry, I don't need to get pissed off, Rohan and Cole. I know you guys don't like me to get belly aching and whatnot, but it pisses me off that I have to freaking do 2 hours of research and I have to type my papers. I just recently got my master's. And then on top of that, I'm applying for my doctorate. Like, bro, that pisses me off that I hear you guys come on stage and you do this. Sorry. I'll laugh, man. Sorry.
Cope, I think you're in the Matrix. Is anyone else having trouble hearing him?
Yes, I couldn't hear him.
You're still in the Matrix. I'll just say while we're waiting for Cope to come back, I do find it mildly annoying that, I've spent decades doing the work and putting in the hours and sacrificing time with my family and friends and giving up holidays and, working 120 hours a week and 40 hours straight and all this stuff. And of course, that was my choice. So, I'm not complaining about those things. What I'm saying is I find it a little annoying that I did those things so that I could develop expertise. And then Joe Schmo was like, whatever, man, it's not magic. I can just read paper and understand it. But that is nothing compared to the is an example of that, who has made decisions for their children based on shitty information. The actual decision that's being made isn't even really, to me, the issue. I mean, yes, of course, obviously I think vaccines are safe and effective, and children should be vaccinated unless they have a medical reason not to be vaccinated. But my point is simply this. Everybody should be making healthcare decisions for themselves based on good information. Anti-vaxxers make decisions based on nothing, based on nonsense and misinformation.
So with that being said, right? Do you think that I came up with this shit on my own? No. Other doctors have different opinions that are also 40 hours. Yes, they do.
You can't evaluate it.
It's unbelievable.
Bro, of course I do. You've been saying for the last 5 years, you dumb fuck. Of course we do. You've said it over and over and over again. Let me tell you what you're doing. I mean, like, bro, your knees are bruised at this point. You're a grown fucking man on your knees, bro. Just going to town at this point. Bro, you can't think about what you're saying. You are dumb. You cannot validate what they're saying. They have never given you a paper. You know what they give you? Because you're so fucking stupid. They give you emotional appeals. And they give you pictures of children. And they give you stories about people getting sick. You're like, oh look, see, I knew the vaccine. That's all you have. And we know that because you have to be able to read a meta-analysis to actually understand something. You have to be able to read the statistics in order to evaluate some bullshit or real shit. And you can't. We just figured it out.
It's not
So,
true. No.
It is true.
Apologize to yourself.
Bro,
I accepted your apology.
bro. Okay, bro. Look, you cannot evaluate the scientific work. So that means that if somebody tells you, doctor number one says, hey, doctor, Mr. Responsible, that vaccine's fucked up. You can't evaluate it. You have to do what you did with the rabies shit. Take people's word for it because you're an emotional fucking creature. You're an emotional creature. That's it. You're an emotional creature, bro.
Maybe I am. Do you think, and this is a real question, do you think that it's a bad thing to go through the vaccine testing through the CDC? Do you think it's a bad thing to go through? Maybe there's even, I'm asking you, do you think it's a bad thing to go back through it and make sure everything is on the up and up and tested safely? Or
the vaccine is not tested through the CDC, dumbass.
The paperwork and statistics do go through the CDC.
No. What the
Yes,
hell?
they do.
Whoa.
And they are funded by the CDC or the Center for Disease Control. Excuse me.
So sweet.
No.
So quaint.
Like, nothing you just said is correct.
So go ahead, tell me. Because I'm on their website. I see these studies.
Send the link. Stop. Send the link that you said you're on their website that shows that they paid for the study. Send it to me. Right now. Watch this live. Send me the link. Send it to the website. Copy it. Hold on. Let me copy the link. Right now. You said you're on the website right now. And pop it in the bottom. Right now. You have 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3.
I'm sorry, I'm not Mr. Speed Moms. If you want me to get it, I'll get it. If you want to do whatever you want to, go ahead. But I'll be back.
Okay, so back to translation, he lied to us all. This thing's a liar. He was not on the website just now. He's a fucking liar.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
On the website. I mean, frequently, I've been on the website.
Bro, you a fucking liar, dude.
That I'm on the website right now.
That's not a lie. You're losing, so you're going crazy.
How am I losing to a fucking brick mason trying to argue vaccine with me?
You're not.
I take that back. You're not smart enough to be a fucking brick mason. I take that shit back.
Genetics.
Bro, I take that back.
You're right.
You're not smart enough to be a fucking brick mason. So I think I'm.
Could I or whatever. Why do you think that we are challenging your claims, questioning your credentials, debunking the things that you've said that are inaccurate? Like, why do you think we're doing it? Do you think that we don't like you, or that we have like different political views or world views or philosophies? Why do you think that we're doing this? Where does this come from? Because you're clearly resistant to it, regardless of what the facts are. But like, what do you think our motivation is? Curious, just off the top of your head.
You know, it's a great question. A lot of the crazy 5G people, who's not me, come in and say that all the doctors are getting together in some back room to do some evil vaccine to control population growth and blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's true at all. I think that you are trained in the medical industry through your association, and your training is not a bad thing. And the consensus of the AMA or whoever it is that is your governing body makes up like 93% of your worldview. And if there's something wrong with that, then your whole world is ruined. And that's why you guys do this. That's why you don't want to even see these things looked into for whatever reason. That's the reason.
Okay, so the dichotomy is it's either about you because we don't agree or we don't use the same sources of information as you, or it's about and our own, I don't know, like their self-esteem that you referenced earlier. So it's only about
It's your whole world, you know.
Our world, so our ego, presumably tied to our world.
No, it's not ego. You've been through a hell of a process to be, exactly. That's quite a process to get through all that. And so you're going to want to believe, that what the people that told you is 100% true.
Right, totally. Especially with how much we paid for getting PhDs. You know how much you get paid for getting your PhD?
It's a great point. You have to actually pay for it.
No, you don't. They pay your tuition and they give you a stipend. I mean, granted, in my day, it's like, I don't know, $17,000 a year. Not a lot, but like, no, you don't go into debt. It's not. So my point is, this isn't about us or our ego. It's not about you or your ego or who's right or who's wrong. And I hope that I'm speaking for the clinicians, the scientists, the public health advocates here, and the people who aren't in the field who are also just advocates of public health and decent, responsible parents. We actually care about kids, children, babies, our relatives who aren't children or babies. We care about our communities.
I believe that.
We care about population, immunity for everyone, including people who are immunocompromised and the people who suffer from this type of mis and disinformation, who are typically children, infants, and cancer patients, elderly people, immunocompromised people who are not disposable in our society. This is why we do this. We don't care about you or your ego or your id or our egos or our ids or our accomplishments or whatever. We spend our time volunteering to debunk this bullshit because we know that it has absolutely deadly consequences in real life. And somebody like you comes on here and argues with experts and whatever for whatever reason that has really nothing to do with you at all. Like, you're not accomplishing anything. And it just, like, the motivation is so different, like, it's not even worth discussing. So, please, like, look inward, think about why you're doing this. What if you're wrong? Do you understand, like, what the consequences are? Do you understand that you'll probably never suffer from any of those consequences or have to take accountability for them if they occur outside of thoughts about yourself and what your perceived thoughts of us being obsessed with our own egos for being right or whatever are. That's not what motivates us. So I'm gonna land.
I didn't say that. I said that I think you're right. I don't think that you're bad people. I think that you do want to help children. I didn't say any of that stuff. All I'm saying is that it's a natural psychiatric position to want the thing that built your entire world up to be true. And I think there's also in public health is diametrically opposed to private health. Private health,
Sorry,
is
just
oncologists. I think the two things, public health
Cool.
is different from my health of my
Am
children.
I in the matrix?
you're still kind of breaking up, Cope.
Kind of.
Am I in the matrix right now? Can you hear me?
No, you're kind of coming in and out.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably my reception. I'm back here at this place.
My point is, public health is not what you gotta do that. I wouldn't want to go with public health opinion for my private people, my family.
And that is because
People are sacrificed in public health.
okay, and that's because you believe that medical education.
Right? That's true.
So sorry, just can you clarify? You said that medical education comes from the AMA. Is that correct?
No, after you have to be board certified after you get your education to practice, right? And so that group, what they say holds weight because it's been the consensus of all your friends and teachers and everybody else.
Right, but you mentioned the AMA. What does the AMA have to do with my education?
You know, I think there's the American Society of Pediatrics, the American Society of AMA might be a Jewish thing actually. I forget the name of the association.
Yeah. Okay. So
AMD.
no. Oh my God. Just Jesus Christ. Okay. So
What is your board? What is your governing body?
well, I'm triple boarded, so I have multiple boards. But what? Okay. So again, your brain is like this hodgepodge of confused thoughts, and I'm trying to detangle them. So you believe that all physicians are all believing the same thing, and whatever, we might have good hearts, we might not, but we're all believing the same thing because our organization tells us to believe something. And you believe that that's what our medical education is, that we're just like, we sit around and we get didactics and then we take notes and we memorize them and then that's it. That's like your understanding of medical education.
No. In fact, medical, specifically physical medical education, and not kind of their sciences, but you take lungs out of different people, right? It's very well debated. There's not much room for fluff. Same thing with genetics. There's not much room for fluff in what you guys do specifically.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about other things like public health.
You need to focus. You need to focus on what my actual question is rather than going off on and answering things I'm not asking you. Is it your belief?
Say it again.
Is it your belief in general that medical education is people telling us what to believe and then we believe it because we want to believe it? Those were your words. That it is normal and natural for us to want to believe the things that we are told. So so based on that statement that you made, I'm asking you, do you believe that that is how medical education works? That we are told a series of things, and then we take notes and we learn it and we memorize it, and then our organizations keep reiterating these same concepts, and that is why we believe what we believe. Is that your understanding of medical training?
I'm sorry, it's more complex than just yes or no. When it comes to doing transplants and doing genetics, there's a lively debate going on all the time between those people.
Okay.
When I say that, let me just say this because I'm probably going to lose my service. When you talk about things that have a consensus have been formed, like with COVID, let's use as an example.
He does look fun.
Apparently Diddy has connections to him. Let's see.
Oh. How's your day going?
Whip it out.
I just like teasing him. Who's Jason? I feel like Jason is Soren.
This is alter ego. Is Soren Jason?
Like Soren left and then Jason arrived.
Doesn't happen like you really don't know if Jason. One of the wizards had like this funny little like diatribe about how there seems to be this whole thing of research happening right now that's just like I can do it, even though it is completely like illogical and too expensive for anyone to ever use it. Like they think that it somehow proves that like additional things need to change in Bitcoin because they've now proven it's theoretically possible, but like it's going to take a whole fucking block in order to do it, or it's going to take whatever multiple blocks of true small like I forget what that one thing. I forget what someone proved recently, but anyway,
the fucker haters, they're shitting on my boy Andrew Polstra and the Mossad for collider strips.
Exactly, yeah, that was what it was.
I know exactly what they were thinking.
And anyway, like I kind of feel the same way. It's just like I don't know, like it does seem like a little bit of a waste of time.
Okay, bro, you don't like people agreement. You don't think that they could get all the compute equal to the proof of work for the network for a whole day? You just hate.
Hate us because they ain't us. And it's lit all day, right? It doesn't mean it's like that full time. Now, I'm not trying to say that knowledge accepts this. I guess
destroying all of that, just look after her, because it's a tough time, because obviously we don't understand those, we don't know what they're going through. And make sure they're eating properly as well. Just get the cleanest stuff that you can get until tomorrow, and get first.
Suddenly it was, I've listened to other experts that aren't you. So yeah, it's I've done this before, but there's a test that we do in critical care where if we have an arterial blood gas, we're worried that it's not internally consistent. The values themselves don't make sense. I wish there was a test for that for anti-vaxxers because their arguments are never internally consistent ever.
That is true. I agree. We have some new speakers to the stage. What's going on, Euro? I guess that's nothing further. Anywho, well, today seemed like a pretty good day. We get to shit on the flat earthers for realizing the earth is flat. Shit on the anti-vaxxers. We want to realize that they don't understand biology. And, I think that was a pretty sweet day right there. I'm not going to hold this room up. I'm going to go ahead and shut the puppy down because I don't know where the hell Coke and Gerhan went. So, thank everybody for coming up. Bring facts. We'll be back some other time to shit on more anti-vaxxers and flat earthers. Peace.
cycle. It's the
Well,
common
what does it mean?
Hi. Hello. He did say he was tired.
Alright, who's first?
Oh, sorry.
Jeff's got a little intoxicated. He's having a good time.
Never mind.
He has so much cortisol from fighting with Soren before, he's gonna be up for hours.
Oh, I saw Soren in that room. I said, I'm going in there.
I got triggers by his voice and left. I can't.
Well, I wouldn't even go in.
He came back. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, did you try the rum? Is that what's happening?
I did not have the rum you recommended.
He had a different.
I looked for it earlier.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now everybody got quiet. What's everybody doing?
I'm surprised that Jeff isn't all wrapped up with all that masochism he got to let off.
But you're surprised at what?
You're not more wrapped up with all that masochism he got to let off in the sword.
No, fuck it. It's all good.
You know who cracks me up? The more I spend time with him, Euro down there. Euro, you crack me up. I just have to tell you. I'm trying to bring you up.
Uh-oh. You saw my muscle photos?
I did.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Euro's funny.
Euro, I have this impression of this image that you bench press like 450 pounds.
460, but yeah.
There we go. Sorry, I left you off by 10.
Yeah, get it right.
I know.
Fuck am I? I bought too smart of a lock.
Tell Mama about it, Rafi.
It doesn't speak any English, that's the problem.
What the hell?
What language does it
I
speak?
guess Chinese. I need to find out the Chinese friends to play the lock.
Is it an Austin lock? Those smart locks are like really amazing.
It comes with like fingerprint, keypad, and it has like those like little keys that you go to the gym with.
Right, so someone wants to get in your house and gonna chop off your finger and bring it to your door.
Basically.
I've seen that plot in a movie.
Rafi, just Google how to crack the name of the lock because there's a guy who does. He opens all kinds of safes, all kinds of locks.
I've seen his YouTube channel. He literally will take this amazing locks, quote in the package, this is pig-proof, and he picks in less than 4 seconds.
Yeah.
That guy.
Those guys are good.
That's tricky. The problem is I have no problem accessing the window. So there's 4 ways to get in. I told you key, an actual physical key, fingerprint, either a code password or the little cards. So I have
One other way.
Was it?
Physics.
Yeah, there's a lot of smart locks out there where like you could just use your Apple Watch.
yes, but for me, so this is the one too. But the problem is to go into settings to connect them together or to pair them. You have to set up the lock into pairing mode, and when the lock speaks to you back in Chinese, it's kind of hard to understand what it's saying.
The answers are Google.
They all sound the same.
You're getting paid by Google to say that once a day.
Oh, that is a great idea. Isn't there apps if somebody speaks it can translate?
Yes. You just let GPT do it. You don't even have to bother with the translation.
Wow, that works. That's gonna be insane. It's gonna be the slowest setup ever, but that should be fun.
Alright, if you're looking to be intellectual, I'm not gonna stay on this stage much longer.
Point. Is this point counterpoint?
There's no intellectual discussion. There's no need for me to be here.
You don't have to worry about the half-life of intellectualism in this room.
Yeah.
There's zero life.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in a smart, like, there's some really good ones in English, like Austin and some others.
I don't need a smart lock. I'm smart enough.
Yeah, but are you locked up enough?
Remember when you turned 18? Was it 18? Or was it 17, right? I'm not sure if it was. There's some guy who posted out there going, oh, he's adult now. He's turned in. Yeah. What a pathetic fucking human being you have to post something like that. You annoying little shit. Fuck you.
I think she's slightly older than Ida.
Yeah, I think she's like, what, 17 or 16? Like, you research that?
I think I remember during the speech she was giving, she was like 17.
Yeah,
So she's
17 currently. Yeah, she is 17.
Yeah.
Good to know. Fuck, man, we're old.
Yes.
Whenever I look at the ages of other people, I'm like, god damn, dog. You're really old when you're like in your 20s and you look at someone in their teens, you're like, damn, that's a fucking kid.
Oh, by the way, Molson, did you hear that apparently TikTok Shop did like $50 billion this year?
Yeah, that's kind of made up numbers. Before we got on the TikTok shop, I was really skeptical about the units sold that they publish on the app, but then after we got on there, it's believable. But the caveat is they did that through a lot of customer subsidies. So an item would be on sale for $20 and like TikTok would pay like $5 to $10 for it. But TikTok is like truly a legitimate sales platform.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people generating like millions of dollars just off of TikTok Shop.
It's real. It's real.
Brainwashing works so hard, man. It's great.
I don't want to talk about China again. I feel like all I do is talk about China. But Chinese e-commerce is like way ahead of the United States, and like TikTok Shop is like trailing like where Chinese e-commerce is.
Believe it or not, Molson, I actually agree with you on this case.
My propaganda has gotten into your head.
No, like I've agreed with this since before I even met you.
Molson, you can pull the snap my fingers and you're never gay thing on him and just tell him yes if you say so.
Oh my god. If I snap my fingers, you'll forget you were ever gay.
But I'm not gay.
Well, you said the music
two black guys in this particular that makes it better.
Yeah. You can't just snap your fingers and, and just say something.
There's nothing gay about being in the shower talking to a bunch of guys late at night, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you're anonymous in the shower, do you?
Oh, dude, I was saying, I think he's the only one in the shower who's having a shower while being on a call with a bunch of dudes who just happen to be somewhat his own age.
Apparently Douyin did like $200 billion in China, so like TikTok's like gotten like $250 billion.
It's crazy.
And ByteDance just off of like shopping volume. Amazon's like 700 something billion. So ByteDance alone is like doing a third of the numbers of Amazon.
Yeah, but there are other video platforms in China where you can do that stuff. So that's not the whole, unlike in the United States, I think there's really only one, maybe Whatnot too. There's really only one. So
is actually very impressive because I feel like if you show a product, you can actually click on it in the video, and it actually takes you to that product.
Yeah, I think X is going to, I don't know what the proper way to say it is, but like take their ads to the next level and allow purchases to happen in X and like take a little cut of that. I think that would really, Facebook has it seems like they failed to roll that out and copy that from TikTok. It seems like an opportunity for X. Because X is just like iterating and releasing new features a lot faster than the other apps.
Supreme Court agrees to hear challenge TikTok ban.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good thing.
I'm like a really big fan of TikTok for e-commerce sellers because it provides us with an additional sales channel. So like instead of just being stuck with a very large Amazon and a bunch of other big players, huge Walmart and Target, like you have alternative options. So not a huge fan of Chinese competition. Like the channels.
I mean, kind of brainwashing kids to do that, but yeah, sure. I'm not totally against selling your products, right? I mean, if you make a good product, it's a good sell. It's not a problem against that. It's just that, like, from an execution perspective, I think the majority of people should not use that fucking platform at all. Like, for nothing.
Well, you know how it's used in China, right? Like famously, like lots of different types of content. Yeah. On Chinese TikTok.
Oh yeah. The Chinese are like shit on
RF and all that shit, and so they handle it better. Oh yeah.
But I mean, like on TikTok, there is like a specific stem time you can.
Yes.
Like you can manually turn on, and you get those types of videos going on TikTok, not Douyin.
However, that will be used by the minority, 100%.
I know, but here's my problem, right? With like people that are like always like super against TikTok. TikTok's algorithm by far is the best algorithm I have ever seen for like anything. And like it's not just short content anymore. A lot of people are like short format videos. There's like videos on there that are like several, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes long. And like the discoverability, the fact that you can learn about like interesting topics that you don't find on YouTube, you don't find on X, you don't find anywhere. Like a significant amount of the things that you can learn about, I learned from like TikTok and all the knowledge that I gained from TikTok that I actually look up and I'm like, oh wow, that's true. And then like 6 weeks later, someone like literally just takes the fucking TikTok video and turns it into like a long ass thread on X. They're effectively weeks behind TikTok. So if you optimize your algorithm, if you optimize your algorithm on TikTok, you get the absolute best social media site on earth. Right? The problem is most people don't do it. And whenever someone just makes someone like argues that we should ban TikTok or whatever, I'm saying like you're getting rid of the like best possible fucking social media platform, right? Just because the majority are too retarded to use it correctly.
Dude, people who want to ban TikTok just strike me as the most butthurt people on the planet. Just leave. I mean, I agree with that. I think there's a distinction to be made about being against a platform and saying that it should be banned. Alright? Because if you ban, it's just like with AI. You have AI that can be used for a lot of good things, and then it's used for some really stupid fucking shit. Where you have some fucking idiot that decides, hey, you know what I'm gonna do to push my retarded ass worldviews to the public? I'm gonna start a mass shooting. That's fucking stupid, right? Does that mean that guns are bad? No. Does it mean that fucking AI is bad for generating some shit just because someone doesn't have the self-control to like not generate this bullshit? Does it mean that the AI is bad? No. That's not what I'm saying. Same thing also for TikTok. I'm just saying there should be some awareness around it, and that your fucking parents should probably not give this dopamine farming machine that then has these weird ass fucking smart which you argue that being a child.
You could say that about every single fucking social media site.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm just saying to be more awareness on that. I mean, YouTube Kids is a fucking cesspool.
That shit should get deleted from the face of the planet. There's no such thing as fucking kids content. That does not exist. It's bullshit. It's a psyop. It's absolute straight fucking garbage. I never, in a single day in my life, have I ever watched this weird babyfied children's slop that they say is educational content. Straight fucking garbage. Like straight to the fucking ground. Take YouTube Kids, this weird fucking edition of YouTube, and just delete it. Get rid of it.
Something interesting.
Fuck Cocomelon, this fucking disgusting ass dog shit. That should be erased from time.
Something interesting about Cocomelon is they literally sit down with a baby, and they literally sit down babies and they make them watch like a generic show, and then like Cocomelon. And every single time the baby looks away from Cocomelon, they take notes.
Basically,
taking
the MK Ultra approach to studying what exactly is the most addictive thing that we can expose a children's mind to on a general basis. That's what they do. They're engineering their fucked up ass content to be basically the perfect version of digital crack specifically tailored to kids. Isn't that disgusting? That's so dumb.
Yeah.
This is literally what capitalism always does in every instance that it can, though. It will find the lowest common denominator, and it will appeal to that as much as it can for as long as it can.
It's always the fucking kids, man. I should leave the fucking kids alone. Fuck that. But really, there's nothing useful that comes out of it. The OG version of this was whatever this fucking brain rot called Teletubbies was. Like, what the fuck is this?
Oh my god.
I hate that shit. Some weird ass suit motherfuckers like walking around there. Shit's annoying.
I actually used to like the Teletubbies. I watched like every episode.
Well, I guess we grew up a little different. Made by people who had an actual passion, like a creative design for it. I don't get the same impression with like these weird. I don't know. Do you see like the what are they even called? They're like inspired by like Five Nights at Freddy's, but the I'm so out of touch. I'm sorry.
The fucking Five Nights at Freddy's shit is weird as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to be critical of that. Just some of the things just seem like this weird shock content, and I'm kind of reserving my judgment just because it's such an unusual thing that I feel like maybe I'm jumping to too many conclusions because it's profoundly weird, and maybe I'm biased or whatever. But I don't know. I see some of this stuff. I'm like, what is even going on? What's happening?
Do you know My Little Pony?
Oh my god. Yeah. What about
there's this series called like My Little Pony.mov, MOV, on YouTube, by like this animator. And if you go on it and you look at the comments, it's like, YouTube, this is an animation, so this would totally be great to show the kids. And I'm saying this because if you were on YouTube, like at any point in like the early days, you would have 100% seen the My Little Pony.mov videos, and it was like it like had like rape and murder and drugs and like all this fucking shit in it.
Oh, so it's like some like almost Adult Swim like parody of My Little Pony.
Yes. And I hadn't even watched it, but it came on my timeline, and I'm like, "What's this?" So I watched it. Why is like a kid like being like? And if you go on YouTube and you look it up, like the top comments are always like, why did YouTube recommend me this as a kid?
I mean, I don't know if people are forgetting this, but like kids, having been a kid, I know that they and not as much myself, but I know at least my peers would be finding some let's say not very well approved things on the internet that would be profoundly like almost just you remember like Happy Tree Friends? Do you remember that? Like my friends would be watching that kind of thing. And
I know of zero children's cartoons, except for like Tom and Jerry, but it wasn't because it's not stupid children's
Unless like
cartoons.
Thomas the Tank Train or whatever.
I love Tom and Jerry. I will say though, it makes no sense. Tom and Jerry doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that's fine. If you want to see a fucking cat try to kill a mouse, and the mouse somehow is able to flatten the cat into like a bunch of stairs, and then the fucking cat does the same shit somehow, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, so
My general point though is just that you can't, like, as much as we want to have control over like what kids watch, inevitably it's just that the natural like most at least preteen to teenage kids are gonna be finding things on the internet that are gonna be very very out there, just not as kosher as their parents may know. Like that's just what happened, Yeah, but that is largely dependent on the type of environment they were brought up in. Right. So if you have some retarded shit going on in your household, you're gonna watch retarded shit, most likely. Right? Or if you're a super curious individual, you're gonna be, I don't know, when's the first time you were when is the first time you were exposed to UFO slaw? Like that all that kind of stuff. It just happens. Like, I remember the majority of internet content that is really terrible is engineered to be addictive. That's a problem. And so that's why you're always going to be led down this bad path, and because you never seek anything else, the algorithm is going to assume, yes, this kid likes this stuff. And we'll see more and more and more of that stuff.
I think kind of fucked up my first kid because I didn't know any better, and I wanted him to like be on my lap so I could like bond with him while I was working, but he didn't like that, so I would play that. Have you guys ever seen the Dancing Fruit Hey Bear? So they're like dancing fruit and they dance to music, and my kid would just like watch that for like 15 minutes at a time, but then he got like super into TV, and you gotta be careful with that shit when you all have kids. Like, you really don't be tempted to put them in front of the TV so you can have a quiet moment. They're like much better behaved, and they like seem to develop better cognitively if you do not show them TV.
I mean, hey, do you remember what happens to like the type of boomer that keeps leaving his TV on for like 24/7? Do you think that's a person you want to have a conversation with? And if you do you think that's actually a good conversation, or does that just make you want to punch the wall? That's happening to your kid. You put it on front of the TV.
Yeah, my mom's a boomer, and like she watches like, way too much traditional media and news, and it's like rotted her brain.
And it depends on the type of mind and how accepting they are of something that's different, even though they still will reject it. It's an awful thing to have a conversation with. It's the resistance, the literal zero logic resistance. It fucks me up. I can't take it. It's terrible. It's stupid. Like, if I'm resistant to something, I can rationalize it. I can tell you exactly why I dislike a thing, or I don't dislike a thing. You ask them, why do you dislike this thing? They got no answer, because it's not their opinion. It's fucking programmed into them. Second-hand opinions are the fucking worst.
It seems like they can't get divorced from the idea that what they're seeing on TV is like a lie, something like 30 to 50% of the time. Like, in a specific instance, you can be like, look, this is not true, and then you can give them the evidence. But then they'll just, like, go back to watching TV the next day, and they'll just assume that it's all true once again. It's really weird. I don't know how it works. You guys brought it up a little bit before. I totally want to hear alternate Adrian's voice, but so now Israel is bombing Yemen, right? It's like maybe to clear the Red Sea.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of the Houthis.
Super odd that we've waited this long. I mean, like, the Red Sea has been blocked for maybe a year now? Almost a year.
Wait, so are you telling me for like an entire year, ships have just been avoiding that area?
I think that's right.
I thought that was just with vessels that were marked for like traveling to Israel.
No, it's vessels going to Europe. Like if you open up marinetraffic.com, you'll see that all the major container ships going from like China to Europe, like to the like Rotterdam port or like maybe Hamburg port, they're all bypassing the Red Sea and going around the Horn of Africa. For a year, like, and that's like driven up the price of shipping globally for a year, like quite a bit. What's odd is no one really talks about this or like thinks about it at all. It's like actually like one of the biggest stories.
I see cargo ships. I see cargo ships going there.
Yeah, but like not many. And then and I think some of those ships are like, I don't know, maybe they're going to like the port of Jeddah or something like that, and they're not too big. And if you go down to like South Africa, go take a look at those ships.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And it's like wild, right? Because that drove up the cost of everything globally significantly. And like the United States had an operation in order to like clear that up. They like brought a aircraft carrier into the area, and then we like just, I don't know really what happened, but like ultimately the problem was expensive cars in the world. We got our hands on over 2. So it's like, to me, it's like kind of interesting, right? So why did it drive up prices? It drove up prices for 2 reasons. So one, the amount of fuel needed to go from China to, let's say, Europe increased by like 20 or 30%. So maybe more than that, maybe like 40, 50%. Because you have to go all around Africa instead of like cutting kind of through the Middle East, going by Egypt and cutting through the Mediterranean. The second reason...
Also the staff.
Staff as well. Definitely, you gotta pay them longer, whatever. But then the other reason is it's like a strange artificial cut in supply, right? Because the demand for goods, notwithstanding the price increase, is constant, right? It doesn't matter that the Houthis are like using drones to blow up ships. But now there's just not as many ships in the water because to do the same transit from China to Europe and Europe back to China, it takes longer, and so there's just less supply of like basically effectively containers to go around, so just the pricing goes up on everything.
Yeah, because you need the massive ships, the massive container ships that can travel the super long distances, right?
That, and then also I think just by increasing the transit time, that's also a cut in supply.
Right.
It's like if something...
Also slower as well.
Yeah, it's slower as well, and so like everyone needs to like carry more inventory, and this has been going on for a year, and it's like, and it's one of those like weird sea change moments where like cheap manufactured drones can like overpower. Maybe.
Yeah.
Style change something.
They seem to just be going after Iran's proxies, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. So the Ayatollah Khamenei, does he have monetization turned on? Because he's dropping some bangers.
I don't know, maybe it's like different governments around the world had like different like monetization practices, like corporations do, like almost like the more approval they got or something like that. I mean, if it was like a sender or something, they're trying to get more clicks on their videos, get more monetization, and maybe like their
their salary was determined by that or something.
Yeah, it could be. I think that probably it's unlikely that he's got monetization turned on.
Every politician being like some simulacra of Mr. Beast or something.
Mr. Beast could someday be an Ayatollah. You never know. Sanctions. I don't think the sanctions would allow the Ayatollah to turn on monetization. Probably can get Stripe to connect. Yeah. That laugh. So at the beginning of this year, I made a bet with a guy saying that 2024 was going to be an epic volatile year. And like, it was pretty volatile, but not as volatile as I was expecting. Some crazy shit happened though. It's hard to like remember all the events in the year.
The year is not over yet. You might be right.
Yeah, well, it's still like there was a decent amount of crazy stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna find out on December 31st that World War III has started.
Hey man, it's possible. It does kind of feel like there's an increasing amount of volatility, and volatility begets volatility. So anything can happen.
Just wondering when we're gonna get like some real life Black Mirror kind of stuff, really, more than like World War III or anything.
Black what?
Like Black Mirror, like technology horror, basically.
So, did you guys see that news that like Elon met Bezos? I had a thread nearly get like a million, or maybe it hit 1 million impressions. Now I muted it. With Bezos, he didn't reply to them.
Check your message. I'm gonna ask you something.
Okay.
Let me find it.
Oh, my Bezos thread? I can find that. Wait, did you say you were going to send me a message?
No. I gotta ask Adrian something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It depends on how bad I feel today.
I would say I'm not sure I can make it on Friday either, so it might not be a good day.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do something like next year, that's
Yeah.
There's too much shit going on towards the end of the year. Anyways,
Yeah.
the economy goes to like a period of, oh hey, by the way, for this period, 80% of all services are not going to exist. Yeah?
Yeah.
And support for those services aren't going to be there because they're mostly gone. And now it's going to work overtime because all the family's there, and if you don't attend the family thing, you're a piece of shit. And it's like, so
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I could do a Friday as well. Some things came up.
When does
those 2 days.
When does the government run out of money?
Depends. Does the government print its own money? And
You know what I mean. When does the budgetary congressional authorization for spending end?
I don't think the concept of money even has the same kind of weight to the government in general that we may think it does.
Oh, it does. It 100% does. It's just that the US is an exception.
Exception in that there's extraordinary demand for the money printed by the United States, but there's
Exactly.
tons of other countries that are that have effectively the same system. Just
Not really.
well, no, I mean they kind of right. Like just you like if you your central bank buys it.
The debt issued by those countries is usually denominated in US dollars. If the majority of it, it's not usually denominated in its own currency.
I don't know if that's true. I think that
It is true.
What
If
about
we look at
Canada?
most countries, Canada might be different. I'm talking about most countries on Earth.
Well, most countries they need to finance. Interesting. Yeah,
Most countries on Earth need to borrow in US dollars.
Right.
Which is the exact reason that Weimar Republic fell, by the way. The Germans, you know how Germans have hyperinflation. They needed to borrow in French currency and UK currency, and they needed to pay it back in French and UK currency.
Right.
And because of that, they had to no matter how much they printed, they couldn't pay it back because the exchange value just went down and down and down.
The thing about
if you as a country can print money and you can pay it off in your own currency, and that is the ideal situation for that, you will pretty much never run out of money, although you will fuck over your citizens.
Yeah. In theory, but in practice, it's not great.
When we implemented the Bretton Woods system, the U.S. basically took over the world economy.
Yeah.
What I really like about the history, or the most salient moment, if that's the right word, of Weimar hyperinflation is that early on in the hyperinflation, everyone not everyone, but a lot of people in the Weimar Republic thought that they were getting rich because the stock market was mooning, and they didn't realize that was just indicative of future expectations of inflation. So everyone thought they were getting rich, but later when they were bringing a wheelbarrow of cash for a loaf of bread, then they realized that wasn't the case.
And the most obvious thing that is
that won't happen with the US dollar, at least for now.
Well, yes, because the US dollar is backed by the US military in a sense, right?
Doesn't matter. The US military is backed by the US dollar, and the US dollar is backed by the US military. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. Once one of those two breaks, the other one kind of also breaks.
So this is why the Houthis thing is such a big deal, right? Because that was one of the first times that the U.S. military faced the threat it was unable to neutralize. So I actually don't really believe that the dollar is backed by the military. People say that all the time, and yes, there are aspects to it when it comes to enforcement of contracts and maybe even loan from international organizations. But I think that's a more often cited reason than it is an actual reason for U.S. dollar supremacy.
I would say the military can be competent if they want, but it's not as competent as it could be just because of the fact that there's way too many people trying to get a profit out of it.
That may be so. I don't know a ton about it. I also think that we don't invest enough in education in our country, and then also there's
the U.S. spends more on education than any other country on Earth.
Right, but it doesn't do so.
How much money do we spend on defense? Can anyone get a percentage of how much our money gets spent on that? I think it's about 50% usually.
I don't know if it's that high, but
it's not 50%. It's not even close.
Yeah, it used to be.
It's never been 50%.
Yeah, it's been pretty close.
No, it hasn't. That's what those people do is they take a certain aspect of the tax spending, and they leave out Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, those are the biggest expenditures.
Why have we sent to Ukraine, dude? How often do we do that? We would just send them billions of dollars all the time.
That pales in comparison to how much they're spending on Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare. The military budget doesn't even come close to those two.
Yeah, I think
$150 billion total to Ukraine, and there's 300 million people in the United States. So that's like the equivalent of giving everyone like $500. But if you think about how expensive Medicare, Social Security are, it's not that much money.
Yeah, so there's two types of tax spending. And whenever someone makes a point about how much of the U.S. spends its GDP or tax income on the military, they specifically leave out the one that inconveniently shows that literally over half of the income, that over half of the tax spending is just taken up by those two.
So it's like Social Security and Medicare. That's 1 and 2. Like Medicaid is like pretty small, as I understand it. Am I right in thinking that?
I don't know, because they're usually grouped together. It says Medicare and Medicaid. So I don't know individually which one.
So ironically, right, by fixing people's health, you can improve one, right? You can reduce Medicare spending, I think, depending on how it's done. But then you kind of like harm the other, because then people will live longer and you have to pay Social Security for longer. Kind of seems like an untenable situation without an extension of retirement age or some sort of
right. So basically, there's two types of spending: discretionary and mandatory. So the military, and okay, so 73% of the budget is mandatory spending. Only 22.8% of the budget is discretionary, and 4.27% in 2021 was net interest. Of the discretionary, which is 22.8%, the military is almost half. But keep in mind that the discretionary is only 22.8% of the total tax revenue spent.
Okay, but you can at least admit that the U.S. spends exorbitantly more than other countries do on our military. Like, if you put a bar graph side by side, we are effectively the outlier there.
Sure, but firstly, what you need to realize is that the U.S. is effectively outsourcing the security of the Asian countries and also the European countries to themselves, and the European countries and kind of the Asian countries too have kind of taken this for granted. And you see all these fucking Europeans, it's like, we have free healthcare, we was chatting fucking bullshit, right? Because they don't have to spend money on their own security. How many years have they failed to meet up their NATO budget? The U.S. is effectively running military for all of its allies, and it's holding up the entire world's supply chain.
That's not quite true.
But at least it used to. At least it used to.
So
it doesn't as much anymore, but it used to. But the part about them basically running the entire military for all of its allies is 100% true.
Yeah, that's sort of true, but it's kind of like an open question as to like how necessary. Well, no, okay, that is true. The other reason why the United States spends so much is that everything costs more here. So like I think I remember looking at like a comparison of the cost of like equivalent stuff from Russia versus the United States. We just pay a lot more for it, and it's not just driven by increased labor costs. Like our military is pretty inefficient.
Also consider the fact that a lot of other countries have a mandatory military service, whereas the U.S. decides to pick the best from the country and actually pay them a salary.
I don't know about the best, but yeah, we don't have military draft, mandatory military service at this time.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's another reason actually for the possible incompetence in the military. You have like a brain drain towards more productive sectors, whether it's technology or finance, just places where you can
You've
earn
also
money
got
that you
the,
can't
you've
earn
also
elsewhere.
got the cost plus you've also got the cost plus contracts kind of fucking over the military.
Yeah, like those like screws that end up costing like $500 each.
Yeah, which is why like a company like Anduril is actually important.
Well, and kind of SpaceX too, even though it's not military, it's a similar principle.
Yeah. But either way, if you look at the mandatory federal spending, 52.9% is Social Security, unemployment, and labor. $2.77 trillion.
What percentage of that like gets allocated to the states? I assume that the money that goes to the states, that's mandatory, or is it discretionary?
Okay, so the discretionary spending refers to the portion of the budget that is decided by Congress each year through the appropriations process.
Okay. By the way, I wouldn't look at 2021 for this. 2021 was an aberration in terms of the year. I think the CARES Act was 2021. No, maybe that was 2020. CHIPS Act, and there was like some other like crazy COVID spending act in 2021. You gotta look at other years.
Either way, though, every single year the discretionary spending is way bigger.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
And not the the mandatory.
Yeah, mandatory. The non-military stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I think
the discretionary also involves education. So the second biggest one is education, actually, in the discretionary.
Education, how though? Like Department of Education, or
I would assume the Department of Education.
I heard that it's
It's the third time we really spend that much on education, just based on the fact that
the U.S. spends more on education per capita, not even like total amount. Per capita, the U.S. spends more on education than any other country on earth.
I don't know how that's possible.
You guys were
just the condition of most schools in the U.S. is pretty
I don't know. Oh,
it's like a massive loading
in the mandatory. Oh, by the way, in also the mandatory federal spending, $281 billion. So you've got almost $400 billion dedicated to education a year.
And then that probably doesn't even count student loans, which are federally guaranteed, which is additional support for U.S. education.
We also have the national education system. Just overall, we consistently rank very, very low in national scores. Standardized tests, all this.
Especially the interesting thing is the U.S. was number one in the world in education, and then the Department of Education was founded. And every year since then, the U.S. has dropped lower and lower.
I wouldn't be surprised if you looked at like some sort of like standard for education, and then you look at like 1971. You'll see there was like a lot of decline after that. You guys know about this, like, so 1971 is when we switched the gold-backed currency to a fiat one, and it fucked up a lot of shit. Medicare and the Social Security benefits is disproportionately white, and the working population is a great deal less white, even if it's majority white. And so it's just like you get this really like weird situation where you have like a lot of like white people who are older receiving benefits that are being paid for by people who are not that race. It's just like it's kind of a recipe for chaos.
Let's not make it white. Let's also consider the fact that these people that are getting this much of the money from Social Security aren't even gonna pass shit down to their kids. They're gonna fucking sell their house, and they're gonna go into an old people's home, and the old people's home is gonna take all their money. Or
Yeah, that's possible.
Or they're gonna spend all of their money trying to stay longer for like stay alive for like one more month.
Yeah, it's not possible. The houses are liquid, so probably the real estate will get passed on.
No, you underestimate how expensive old people's homes are. Some of them are like over $100,000 a year, right?
I don't know, bro. My parents and grandparents are alive, and like I have parents. One has passed away. I might know something.
Yeah, so there's actually a trend of like investment firms now buying like a lot of old people's homes. Because they're so fucking profitable now, because all the old people are fucking selling their houses to move into old people homes.
Yeah, I mean, but that could be said about every industry. There's not an industry that private equity is like buying up, trying to roll up, trying to make some money off of. But I mean, is that really true that these boomers will like get in the hospital and figure out a way to like spend $1 million to extend their life?
For the majority of them, yes. I think the majority
of Medicare, right? Like that doesn't really work.
I think the majority of these, Medicare is not going to cover like $100,000 worth of costs.
Yeah, is that how it would work? I mean, like it's just like when my father passed away, he had long-term care health insurance, but like, can a boomer elect to spend $1 million in excess of Medicare on their way out in the hospital? Is that like an actual possibility?
I don't know, but from what I can see, most boomers aren't going to pass anything down to their kids. And then you've got the super retards, which believe that they should donate their all to charity.
I like that. That's a good name for the super retard boomers.
You've got the super retard boomers. They're like, I'm not going to give my kids shit, so I'm going to give it to a charity organization, which is going to spend it all on fucking luxury hotels for some fucking executive. And 0.1% of the money of it might go to homeless people, if they feel generous enough.
Yeah,
After all the executives have had their like 5-star hotels and private jets and all the administrative costs have been paid, anything that's left over they might consider giving to people in need.
Yeah, it's a grift. Charity has this like amazing reputation in the United States. So it's like intertwined with the culture, but in general, the whole nonprofit charity thing is a big grift. It sucks.
I like Peter Thiel's explanation of this. He's like, he's basically saying people that give their money to charity when they die basically feel like this is because they have like some sort of guilt about like all the wrong things they've done in their life. It's not a nice act to do. It's actually a very selfish act.
I mean, it also says that you have more faith in an organization that you didn't create to use your money well than the children wish you did.
Yeah.
Which is odd. But
it's also I find the argument super weird as well when they're like it will spoil them. It's up to you to like make sure they don't fucking turn out like that. It's basically you're basically outsourcing the job of your parenting to the job market.
I mean, there definitely is some truth though to this idea that having your children know that they're receiving a large amount of money causes them to be fucked up mentally in some way. it's quite a challenge to raise kids if you have money in a way such that they'll be good, productive citizens. At least from what I've seen.
I think that's
make them work when you're young. Like make them work when they're young. Understand, like have them actually work for a salary first. Have them understand the shittiness of hierarchy, the mobbing within companies. Help them understand everything. Help them understand why the manager is a piece of dog shit. Help them understand why you should not become that piece of dog shit. All that kind of stuff. That's the lesson.
What parents do wrong is that they send their kids off to fucking school. And they don't teach them shit about the business, they only go arguments. Their job is practically to go to school. And they don't spend any time with the kids. Like, of course the kid's gonna fucking turn out sport. He's going to school like playing stupid under the toys. And you're not teaching him about anything. His job, you made his job going to fucking school with a bunch of other stupid. Of course he's gonna turn out sport.
I went to a private school, like pretty well off town, and I don't know anyone who was raised with like significant amounts of money who's like a motivated, well-adjusted adult. It seems to have like fucked all their brains.
Raising them with the understanding that you have limited resources is a problem.
I actually think that too. I went to private school as well. Most of the kids are fucking morons. But I think that's mostly a fault of the parents than it is.
It's easy, it does hard. I mean, these people, some of them are like self-made rich people, so they're not poor. And I think like one of the best ways to solve the problem is to
It's not socially
successful
business because then you'll treat your own kids as if they were a business situation, like some sort of business investment rather. And let me tell you something, that shit hardly ever works out. It'll actually do the opposite. If successful, it will make the kid who you subjected to this nonsense a ruthless motherfucker who will have it in the back of their own minds a goal to destroy you and take everything. They're going to take over not by you giving them your stuff, but by having that guy take it from you. You raise them like that because that's the idea of raising someone with the mentality of doing business. That's the idea.
What do you mean?
Assimilate all that and destroy.
Well, I mean, like, what does it mean to raise a child with the intention of them, like, to raise them as an investment? Like, what does that look like? What's the kind of parenting style?
Maybe some of them start blowing the fuck
You don't really give them much of any love, much of any attention. Their entire life's mission is supposed to be making money. They're not allowed to have any real fun, and if they do, it's outside of the parents' ability to regulate, and as such becomes a fucked up situation because then they will just engage with, like, imagine taking someone like a Seventh-day Adventist or someone who's super strange, like really, really strongly religious, and then they somehow have convinced themselves of the fact that God is not real, and then you put him in a fucking nightclub. Dude, that guy's gonna fuck it in ways that you can't even understand. He's gonna do all the drugs, he's gonna do all the fucking shit, he's gonna fucking do his ass, he's gonna do everything on his first fucking day in the club. He doesn't care. Okay, that's the problem. Right? That's also a problem with like ultimate freedom after you've like oppressed somebody. It's also like why people get conditioned. It's all the same issue, right? So that makes you on the first level, it makes you dysfunctional, socially dysfunctional, because you cannot hang with anyone. Because if you don't say, oh, hanging with this person is going to make me money, then you're not going to be able to hang with that person. Like the majority of people who try to maximize money making for absolutely every single thing cannot have fun at all. Not even a little bit. You can have fun, I suppose, whenever you have free time, and maybe you have like a ratio for this, but you can't be the I'm going to have to work 100% of the time type of person who doesn't have like the slightest inkling of fun at all. I will say as well.
I will say as well. I think a lot of kids as well, seeing their fathers basically work themselves to death and sacrifice pretty much everything in their fucking life. Automatically makes it to the like the point where you're kind of like, I don't want to live this life like this. This like, the money is not worth this much work. Yeah. When the father, like for example, has like a terrible relationship with his entire family, has a terrible relationship with his wife, has a terrible relationship with his kids. He has diabetes. He's fucking sick all the time because all the time work.
Yeah. So my father effectively died within a year of retiring. So like, and he worked like really hard. It wasn't like a joyful work. And just don't do that.
It depends. Yeah. Like it depends on where you're going for. But what he's like explaining here is like the type of person that says, you know, we have to basically turn these people into the next conquest to an extent, but you're so fucking capital focused that you will turn your very own children into like a means by which you can attain more capital. You know what I mean? Like you kind of keep them subservient as much as possible. You'll even fuck up opportunities for them just because they're getting out of control. Yeah. And then maybe, and here, if you like the only child, that's you know, it's a suffering you bear, and that's a thing. But you'll have an even worse curse if you have a fucking younger sibling. That is horrible, especially a bitch at that. And then it's like getting older. If you have an even worse dysfunctional family, where then that person gets more of the treatment because all the experiments are done on you, and then you have like the youngest is then the one where it says, so this person we put through a lot of shit turns out to be very bitter and very not so subservient and very likely to refuse our orders. That's going to be risky. Okay, how about we do the exact opposite with this next thing here? Give them all the shit, and then make sure that individual is not questioned as much. So we're going to have the hardworking guy be fucked because there's this younger dude who doesn't understand what the fuck's going on in the world because he's been like at mommy's boobs 100% of the time, getting all the resources. Like, that's exactly what that looks like, and it's fucking stupid. That's an absolute curse and blight on your potential, because if you already live in a family system that has the ability to destroy opportunities for you, like, that's hell. That's hell on earth. That is actual hell on earth, because there's no way for you to get out, right? Maybe you do get out, and then what are you going to do? Depends on the level of power that your family has, acquired. What if you, at worst, it's probably like some sort of billionaire dude, and has the ability to just track your ass down. Because if you're already that vengeful, so as to fuck someone's opportunities, you're going to do it. Like, sounds ridiculous, sounds dramatized. It's not. This is real. This is a real thing that happens more often than you can imagine. And these are also the same types of people that produce various things and don't care about a lot of the consequences and cause massive amounts of damage. These are the reason. These are the people why you have, like, these are the people who give you reason to the fact you should have a union, because they go so far out of control that you need to rein them back in again. They're not just ruthless in the sense that they will absorb everything. No, they're ruthless because they don't care on any level. Oh, hey, your personal, like a holiday or something like that? Nah, can't have that. Or like, I don't know, see the grievance of some kind. Don't care. We'll replace you like a part. It will replace people like broken parts. And with, say, your kids, they will look at you the same way in that they will replace the stuff that's defiant by trying to oppress those, like, by trying to oppress the spirit of what you are and crushing it effectively, so that they can replace parts of your subconscious with something that they want. They try to basically clone themselves. That's the idea. That's the problem.
It's hard, though. I mean, when you're raising kids, like, you want them to be successful, and you still have your own ego. And then like, I have my own businesses, and I'm like, do I want them to work in that business? No, I want them to be their own people, but to what extent can they be their own people? How much money do you leave your kids? These are like really difficult topics, and it's actually, they're rarely discussed.
I won't speak about this purely, I'll speak about this purely abstractly, but just on the general subject of rebellion from kids, I think parents have this tendency to read so much into what their kids do, and it's funny. I think it always kind of explodes right in their hands, because the degree to which you try to control anything, any system, including your kids outside of yourself, it's also going to be influenced by, do you actually understand how the system works? Like, are you personally fully engaged and immersed with the true level of complexity that the system is engaged with? And also, if assuming you actually do know what you're even working with, because many parents will just try to basically re-imprint what they understand, and that may not even apply necessarily to the world that those kids are living in. It's a totally different world out there now. But yeah, assuming you do understand everything properly, and you are able.
But that's a small level. But that's small level. We're talking on a level of people that actually understand the world enough in order to extract massive amounts of resources out of it. Imagine that's the level that we're talking. What the average parent does to fuck themselves over or not fuck themselves over, that's a very basic combination of either I'm going to teach them something, but I'm not going to teach them enough, or I'm going to teach them just enough and they become somewhat successful, become the next millionaire, billionaire, whatever, or you just basically give them no love or a piece of shit and you just basically kind of kick them out of the home, all that kind of stuff. There are multiple variations for low-level types of failures that exist on the parental side on that level, but what we're specifically addressing here is the successful parent problem. Right? Because the way that you run a business is not the way you can run a kid. That's the point. That's where it ends. You cannot, and also you cannot think for the kid. You cannot fucking do that because you're a retard in comparison. You can't. You cannot say that I'm going to think for the kid. You can explain to the kid what has exactly happened and what exactly you're doing, or say, for instance, so this is how I came to understand certain principles about my life. And as a result of this, I'm going to put you through this particular thing over here so you can understand what this looks like yourself, because in the future, you're going to have to take on, say, a managerial position. So you have to understand what you're dealing with. You have to understand how people are dealing with you. So I'm going to take you, I'm going to put you in my business there, and everyone's going to fucking treat you as if you weren't the son or the daughter or whatever. You're going to work there just like everybody else for a certain number of years. You're going to learn what that is like. I'll put you there at a certain position, and if you want to, move up the hierarchical structure, do whatever you want, you will go there, you will do this. You get fired, that's going to be a bit of a problem. But you're going to work there at this level and try to work your way to the top if you'd like. If you don't, it doesn't matter. We'll see how well you perform. We put him there, let him work there for a year or two, pull him out, put him in a different position, and then keep that whole thing going. And at the end of the day, should say, here's all the stuff that you worked on. Here's why all these things work together. Do you think you're able to understand how all this works? Do you think you know how all this works now? Are you sure? And if you are able to establish that, then you can just basically give them everything. You can even then stay around as a type of advisory in a sense as well. So you still work on the company itself. You're still in there. You're still making decisions. But you're taking an active, sort of like a partner position along with your kid, or even multiple kids. But this is successful. This has to work out. This is successful. I know it can work out. If you want a good example of it, look at the fucking Rothschilds. That shit works.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. My kids are pretty young. You can't always intervene when they're fucking up. And
no, that's the point.
You have to let them. Right. Okay.
You put them in a place. Tell them here are the consequences. What's going to happen? If you fuck up, you fuck up. There you go. You're on your own. You can still catch them when they fuck up to a certain extent, but you got to give them a little bit of the you're on your own part as well.
I thought about having my kids change their names. But what do the Rothschilds do? Is there anything specific? Is there a Rothschilds manual? How to maintain being one of the richest families in the world over 5 centuries or however long it's been?
Well, it's probably a lot more details than whatever I can tell you, that's for sure. But realistically, yes, exactly, that is the problem. However, I can tell you, as a person who is capable of teaching various many people strange esoteric concepts that are extremely useful in the modern world, with literally no difficulty whatsoever, basically clothing systems, re-implementing them, much more than your Chinese is able to copy European technology, ironic, I tell you that the way you do it is by somehow taking the part that appeals to you about, say, running a business and instilling that motivation in someone else. But they also have to go through a period of hardship to a certain extent. You make them work at various levels so they know what's going on, because they cannot make a decision that's actually good if they haven't been there. A person who hasn't suffered to a certain extent cannot make a good decision that will help, say, somebody else who is also probably suffering in some way economically. Because guess what? When you're dealing with people, it depends on which industry you're in. If you're dealing with an industry that's like somewhat manufacturing based, you're going to be dealing with people who are, you're not really paying them very much because you can't at the same time for the work that they provide. But at the same time, you're dealing with these types of people who are also relatively poor at the same time as well. So they're going to have certain economic struggles. You're going to have to understand that. You're going to have to understand why this is the way it is, what they're kind of going through to a certain extent, why you can't be like shit to them, but you can be like shit to someone who doesn't perform. You know, or at least assess why that is. Oh, hey, do you have a bit of a problem right here? Why did you drop that? Why did you drop that part here that you were supposed to like put in there? What's wrong? You feeling okay? And it turns out, oh, this motherfucker is on the third day of the fucking flu, and yet it's still showing up. Right, there you go. You gotta understand what's going on. And if you don't understand what's going on, you gotta put horrible managers in place. And at the same time, here's the problem. Here's the final problem. Let's imagine that you're trying to basically clone yourself on a principal level. You gotta give your kids some love. And if you have no love except the love for work, you can't give them that. And by that extent, you can't actually love anything. You love nothing. You are nothing. If you can't love something in some way, something that is in line with your genetic purpose, and what I mean with that is the ability to build something for the future. Not just the future you, but the future yous that come from you, your children. If you're not capable of loving what is here and now and understanding what that means in the future, then you are nothing. You are the worst human in ways that you don't even yet understand. You have failed at the key purpose of making sure that this thing that has been born of your very own flesh is supposed to be better than you. That is the thing. When I have kids, I'm going to tell them that you're supposed to be better than me. If you can't be better than me, it's understandable. But if they grow in ability, so much so that they overshadow my own and make me look stupid, I will be happy. Because it means they're better than me. This is the big thing with these parents as well. They try to trot down and somehow regulate how capable they are. The kids. Like say, this is a really interesting idea, you know? But then because that idea is better than the one that I have, I'm just going to disregard it. Why? Just because you have a fucking ego problem. The hell's wrong with you? And that keeps fucking happening. Because again, the sentiment is, well, I built up the multi-million-dollar business, not you. Huh? Which is ironic because have you forgotten where you came from? You know? You may have something now, but you too came from nothing. So now you're going to dismiss the bright young minds. What if somebody dismissed yours when you tried to build up a business for the first time that now became a successful thing? What about that? You're not going to bother listening? You're not going to bother trying to understand, at least, what that is? There's good reasoning behind what this guy's saying to you? What this girl's saying to you? Whatever. That's the problem. That's another massive problem. Limit the potential because you cannot have yourself appear weaker, when in reality, that is your whole fucking purpose. You are not supposed to be replaced. You're supposed to be supplanted, all of us. Every single one of us who can have children and is able to have children, those children are designed to supplant you, to exceed you, to be better than you. And it can be better at anything. Yeah, maybe I'm better at, I don't know, plowing the field with a horse, right? But do you think that a kid in a technology company needs to understand how to do that? No. They're going to be better at the technology aspect because they're filling up their brains with the stuff that makes the world run right from the start. You're giving them a head start, actually. So you have to learn all the shit about the taxes and the legal problems and the way that governments work, the way that you have to work with those governments if you're big enough. They have to learn that shit all on their own, but you can give that to your children. And hey, if they have enough reasoning, you explain to them, so they may be wondering why this is this stupid practice we're doing. Why are we being so nice to people so horrible? Well, guess what? We don't have a choice. You play this game well, you win. Somebody else doesn't play the game well, they lose. That's how it works. Is it right or wrong? Well, it's about as right as it gets when it means that you're successful and that you get to do the most amount of good possible for this. Because your pride will stop you from doing that. Wouldn't you want to expand and do more good? Well, this is the way. It's one of the best ways. And many of the rich parents, they don't understand this, can't do it.
It's not a question of them being better than you or you being better than them, because they are you. And that's something that you really only understand after you have them. They are you outside of you. It's really amazing.
That's why I said, like, there's little versions of you in the future. You're building something for the future versions of you. It can be like the better version of you.
I'm tempted to put my kids on like a Mormon mission, because Mormons seem like maybe fuck off, but like there's a lot of like value there, right? Like Mormons generally seem pretty well adjusted. They all do pretty well in business. I mean, I don't know that many of them. And so sending your kids abroad, putting them on a quest, and be like, yeah, you're going to go around Kazakhstan and try to convert as many Kazakhs as you can to Mormonism for 2 years, and you're going to learn how to speak Kazakh. That's a worthy quest, like when you're 18, 19 years old. They'll have a useless quest stuff like that. I didn't hear what you said.
That's kind of a worthless quest, though. Or you can say,
well, it doesn't have to be physically that, obviously, right? It can be something like that.
I don't know, build up a vast amount of knowledge and then create a show on the internet. That would be a cool one.
One thing that I would leave and come back, I might be rude.
Because, like, if somebody would have given me that mission when I was a kid, that would have worked out very well for me. I mean, look at where we are now. Now I'm just doing it as a hobby. Like, if I would have maximized this a little bit, I would have grown a lot faster. It would have been a sensation.
Yeah, but there's something very special about going to a country that's not your own and being exposed to a different culture and then dealing with the culture shock. That's like, it turns
you can do that in the future. You can do that in the future. You can do it when you're a little bit older. Say, you're lucky enough, like maybe in your 20s or something like that. That's a great time to do it. Because you have to have a frame of reference first for what's the baseline. You don't have that, and you're really not sure what you're looking at. I can put you, like, if I could have you be raised in the Sahara Desert, right? You'll see the dunes every day. And then you do some research and look into Europe, and you're like, God damn, that place looks exotic as hell. They got big buildings, whoa. You know? Meanwhile, somebody from there would say, man, you're living amongst the sand dunes. That's fucking exotic as hell. So it depends. Like, you're just always going to be somewhere, so you have to, like, set where exactly normal's supposed to be. And then everything from there on can be exotic. But that takes some time. And also, I think it's important, maybe to a certain extent, what you say makes sense, to, like, expose the kid to some variants so they understand the ever-changing nature of the world. That's something. I sure as hell experienced that one. If that added up to be my benefit, sure. Maybe a little bit. Although, to be honest, the majority of everything that has actually worked out to my benefits has been told to people on the internet, specifically in a way that no one can control. That should fucking grows my potential exponentially. The less control somebody has on the kind of stuff that I can do, my potential keeps increasing exponentially. That should fucking taught me a lot. Like, I would say that documentaries raised me, and the internet shaped me like that.
I've learned a tremendous amount by finding someone that I respected on X, and then just kind of sucking their brain dry of as much information as I could, and then reaching the point of diminishing returns, and then moving on to the next person. It sounds kind of weird, but you like find a temporary hero, learn as much as you can from them, and then move to the next person. And sometimes you can even interact with these people on X, which is amazing. Highly recommend it. Not sure if that's what you meant, but
By one of these people.
yeah.
Figure it out. Here's the thing, though. You need to find it's an interesting concept, but the point is to just keep moving on to the next hero. Find yourself the understanding of how they got there. Like when you find something that's consistent, that consistently works or consistently evolves, rather, that shit's interesting to keep monitoring. Like for instance, it depends also on where you are. Like if you're in a place in life where you found someone who is capable of taking a lot of information and challenging you with your own assessments, that shit's very valuable. It's very difficult to find. A lot of people would rather agree with you than want to disagree and have a conversation around the disagreement. I like to maximize the amount of disagreement that I can have with someone in a way that you can learn what exactly their take is. Like if I talk about stuff with you that is, say, for instance, not contentious, then I'm basically just repeating back to you that which you already understand. And while it may feel nice to understand that you're not insane, it still is more valuable for you to be challenged on your own assessments, because guess what? What if somebody else that you actually have to convince of your own assessments challenges you as well? Well, now you have a bit of a warm-up. The amount of times that, say, running the show and arguing with people on the show has, like, saved my ass in real life, like that experience has saved my ass in real life, is honestly incalculable. Like, ever since I've done this, I've become an extremely good negotiator. Also, my confidence levels have gone way down. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you need to seek out disagreement because you can't both be right. And when you're wrong and you find someone who's intelligent who can correct you, it makes you wiser. So you have to.
You might be both right. You just have different versions of reality that you experience. So you like say, okay, the many people that say, oh, you're just wrong and don't elaborate, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, why would you do that? You have to elaborate as to why that person is wrong. Like, you believe that person is wrong, you gotta tell me why that is. Like, what is that? And insulting them is not gonna do it. And if somebody starts beating your ass, with your arguments, then that just means you fucked up. You gotta take it, man. That's a good thing. So no feelings. I see a lot of academic people are not capable of doing this. That's a big problem. I try to have discussions with academics, and they're incapable of actually having a conflict-based discussion. They just instantly feel offended to the core, which of course is correct. It's everybody experiences this to a certain extent. You're being questioned, and in a not so nice way. Of course, I'm gonna raise my defense and be like, excuse me, but okay, let's play this out. Let's play it out. See where this goes. I want to see what this happens. It's gonna be naturally curious. We're like doing a boss fight in a video game. It's like that, but in real life with argumentation of whatever you believe in.
So let me try to disagree with you here, right? Because in this conversation, so it may not be simply that they find it offensive, and as such, they want to discontinue the conversation as soon as possible because they're emotionally hurt. It could be that you're raising a question that causes them to lose confidence in their worldview. And these are the type of people who are attracted to academia need to have full confidence in their worldview, because if they don't have confidence in their worldview, they can't operate. Kind of like some people can't operate in uncertain situations. And so that may be the reason why they kind of just disappear.
Well, of course, now you just added a piece of information to me and not actually disagreed with me.
Well, I try my best,
It's very difficult. I can't understand which positions you come from, and the positions that I have been very adjusted. Whenever I have an unadjusted position, it's very contentious, but whenever you have a well-adjusted position, it's really it's very agreeable, and stuff just gets added to it because you kind of see the structure of the world, and you get like a certain pattern. And you say, okay, this is what the foundation needs to be in order to continue with this particular topic, and you just keep building more buildings on top of that. There's no conflict because you already know the standard, right? So that's what I'm kind of getting off with these types of things, especially principle-based or emotional assessment-based, right?
Well, the other thing you need to do, and maybe you mentioned this again a little bit distracting while you're speaking, probably one of my kids who was screaming that time I woke up, is you need to constantly be deleting all the things that you thought you understood in you that were wrong.
Exactly. Another problem is you have to keep like a cache memory. That thing going on. You should just know the stuff that you're doubting, and you just try and see, okay, whatever comes next, we're gonna keep holding on to this, or we're gonna discard the other thing. But like, yeah, be prepared to throw stuff away. Like, for instance, a lot of the memories that I have from my childhood, which are not really useful to me, are forgettable. Faces, people, all that kind of stuff that doesn't matter anyhow. Like, I already know it doesn't have any relevance. Forget it all. I've cleared it all. Somebody asked me, oh, hey, do you remember when you did X, Y, and Z as a child? Like, nope.
Do you guys, when you're doing something that's like completely unrelated, sometimes just get like a random memory from childhood or like a random image just pop in your mind? This happens to me all the time. I have no idea what it is.
I get that sometimes, yeah.
Depends, yeah. I usually do with like immediate struggles that I have. Or sometimes I think about philosophical stuff that I've tried to understand in the past. And then it just clicks in my head, and that's the thing I talk about the next day. That's why the show is so interesting, right? It wouldn't be worth much of anything if I didn't have something to farm.
I wake up every morning and I have at least like 2 or 3 X posts ready. Just from sleeping. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. But when I wake up, it's like, okay, what's the latest, hottest political thing that I have to watch out for? What memes can I post today with where I can afford to be insensitive or can back it up? What memes can't I post today because it's just too bad? Like, say for instance, if there was I don't know, if a nuclear power plant melted down somewhere, I probably shouldn't be posting about how great nuclear power is. Or maybe I should, but like memes that kind of make fun of the disaster. Maybe not that, you know? Depends, you know, you kind of adjust the thing. It's like, okay, do I make a meme that roasts the concept of why people are afraid of it? Or do I write up a thing and say, here's why this went wrong, here's how bad it really is, here's the chance of that happening, and here's what the damage will be in the future based on the problem that's occurred. Like, that's what I decide in the morning. So I have a basic assessment of reality. I also do a decent amount of work, like right as I wake up. You know, check my messages, see if anyone has sent me anything important. I always go to X first. I go to my DMs on X first, actually. Always the DMs. Because you never know if there's going to be something that's really good there. You know, just a few messages.
I'm just addicted.
I am addicted. I'm not anything good. I can deny that. It's a good one. Everybody has an addiction. It's kind of a good one.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm also kind of addicted to video games, and it's very annoyingly destructive sometimes because my creative flow gets inhibited a little bit whenever I play a lot of games. Because it just basically ups the escape from reality. So I have a little bit of that, so I can have some fun, get that dopamine release, you know, of blowing up some shit and defeating enemies. It's a very nice thing. I enjoy that very much. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta mix it up somehow.
You should not play Battlefield XL. Trust me, you get sucked into it, never come out.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. Alright, boys, I gotta go. Fuck my wife. She's really pissed off at me looking at the kids with this Xbox. Alright, have a good night, everyone.
Good night, do the calls. He's for real, by the way. He's not lying.
No, I'm gay. Alright, good night.
Oh my god, that's a good one to end it on. That's for sure. Wait, how does going as well?
Oh yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm just chilling.
Same. I think this is a great show. I love it. These are good stuff. My throat pain is like really taken over there a little bit, which is kind of an issue, but it's kind of fine. It's fine. Not sure what tomorrow's gonna look like though.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened here?
Just doing a couple trades, trying to get the run suited for us later.
always been there. It's just that you are now seeing them because you want to see them. The anomaly is not created or amplified. It has always been there, just your awareness of it has. And this does not apply to made-up social issues. This applies to the physicality of our universe. I'm not going to tell you what this means, but you'll figure it out.
Interesting.
It's a little hectic thing. It means something. Fine. I sometimes have the temptation to send some really cryptic shit out there, but I just don't want to confuse people too much sometimes, although I really probably should. A lot of mimetic thoughts, that's for sure.
We like the puzzles, so yeah, feel free to.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, what do you all here think of this show? Like some feedback would be great.
Yeah, this was fun. Yeah, we just had a nice little philosophical discussion at the beginning, a little cooking, and then we went from there. It was a good show.
Nice. Got various things around here. It's relaxing to some sounds. That's also something, you know. I highly recommend people listen to classical music during that. That's really good for you. The modern pop music is disgusting. I don't know why. I know a lot of people enjoy that shit, and I understand it, really I do. I just think it's superficial and literally mind-numbing.
Oh yeah. I grew up listening to classical, actually, taking piano lessons and stuff like that. So I think it was good for my early development of math skills and stuff like that. I think it helped with that.
I still remember when I first listened to classical music. It's basically all I wanted to listen to. Because it was really good. It was really stimulating. It didn't have any strange words I didn't understand, any meanings that I had to grasp. It was good for your productive way of working. And I always wanted to watch it. And I was actually one of the only kids that would like to prioritize stuff that actually benefits you over stuff that's just, I guess, just plainly fun. Although sometimes I do like fun. But realistically, I mean, like, hey, do you want to watch this movie about this dog that talks? Or would you rather want to watch David Attenborough? No, it's true, David Attenborough. It's nicer. It's game me more. I mean, look, seeing how animals live and how we interact with those animals and how they interact with nature, it's kind of good. It's a good awareness for your understanding of how the planet works. It's a great thing. Like, do you want to know how this desert works? Do you want to know how the snakes live around there? Do you want to look at the little mice that fly? The little jumping mice, they can jump so fucking high. They got like these really long legs. They live in the desert, have this longish tail.
Jumping mice. I don't think I've seen those ones.
Yeah, they have that. They have that as a defense mechanism, so that vicious snake or something comes after them, they just jump away and forget it.
Well, that shit aggravated assault
charge. Scorpions,
because when you shut the door on him, that's kidnapping.
Episode
6. You take it out of the desert because you walk around there. It's nice and shiny and walk around there. But the scorpions, when they come out at night, they sit under the rocks during the day when they come out at night. Well, hey, what if you want to take the road or something? Well, look at us away from yourself. Things are going to be slowing as you apply to towards yourself like if you were a book. Whatever's under that rock, it's going to come right here. Sweet.
Wow, what an experience. The burger.
Hey, what about that strange looking patch on the tree that looks like a tree, but it's just a little bit out of place? Yeah, there's probably an animal hiding under that. You don't want to poke that. Actually, maybe do you want to poke that and see what happens? Just not looking at it. Oh, yeah, that's right. You found one of those spiders that snatch things up and eat them. Yeah, there's like a type of spider that lives on like the tree. Has in the rainforest, has this thatching that's over it, looks just like the tree bark. Put a little something next to it, comes out, grabs it, fucking takes it, and go on again. It looks really weird.
Okay.
Oh hey, you see this really interesting spider that is this type of species, but to recognize this feature, that's an anomalous
butt, as in it's a huge fucking ass-sized spider. It's like it's got a huge ass. That's strange. Well, if you were to hit that, then many spiders are going to come out, because guess what? That's where the spiders live inside, with the little baby spiders. It's not even its ass, it's just a cocoon. So you'll know that kind of shit. Meanwhile, fucking like Americans in a house full, they like take care of some insect somewhere, they see that type of spider, they hit it with a broom, and there's like tiny mini spiders everywhere coming out of that little home invasion. They get freaked out, be like, oh my god, how is this possible? I'm like, I know you don't know, but that's kind of funny. Sorry, poisonous fucking things. Or the fact that the young snake's venom is worse than the ones of the old snakes, because the young one doesn't know how much venom to release, so it just releases a shit ton.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, juvenile snakes. Yeah, that's a thing. Reckless little motherfuckers too. You see, snakes, they don't actually want to waste resources on you. They'll be sparing with their venom, just regulated just right. Hell, sometimes all you use it at all. Young snake doesn't give a shit. It doesn't know yet. Pumps its victim full of venom, it's gonna kill them. Wastes a lot of resources for no reason. What about your chameleons? Those things that become super colorful when they want to mate. They look like little dinosaurs. That's pretty cool. What about this weird fucking practice that salmon do? I don't understand why they do it, but they do it. Hey, we're gonna swim up the river and fuck upstream. I don't get that. I really do. But they do it. Happens every year. Has to happen, doesn't it? Right, that's right. The bears, they gotta eat salmon. That's pretty cool. There's hordes of wildebeest, hyenas that are male can turn themselves female. All that kind of weird shit. It's all in nature. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. See, as a child, inundating yourself with that is pretty interesting. It doesn't really give you much of an understanding for the social world of humans, but it does give you an understanding of the things that control us all to a certain extent. All these animals, they have some aspect that we also have within us. Purely the drive to survive is one of those, or the recklessness of the snake. Hey, I'm in this fight with another human. We're both young, and I punched it fucking a little too hard. Oh boy. Probably should have learned restraint. I got the example of the snake. The chameleon that tries to put on fancy colors when it wants to pursue a mate, or the bird that ruffles its feathers a certain way, or the peacock. Yeah. Humans do that too. When was the last time that you wanted to attract a potential mate, human, female, and you tried showing off? That's the first thing you do. You try to show off your capabilities. The birds do the same. And those fish, the fish that make these beautiful mandalas underwater.
Yep.
That shit's fucking weird. You have to create this perfectly mathematically accurate mandala-looking thing on the ocean floor. Just because it wants to get laid. Gotta do math to get laid. That fish has gotta teach some people some shit. Not gonna lie. Goddamn. True. And then you have humans, right? You have dysfunctional, and you have the thing that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because in nature, you die if you did this. The dysfunctional human that chooses individuals based on how reckless they are, and not just how capable they are. I mean, that's where the Chad meme came from, though. The reckless motherfucker. He fucks everyone. Right? Why? Because social dysfunction. The adolescent brain is so fucking stupid that it thinks that this is the ideal thing. Because it's the confidence factor. Whereas the smartest person probably has the most utility, doesn't have confidence in the fact that they can be ignorant of certain things in the world. But the real smart person, what they do is they have a bunch of paths that they can pursue for themselves. They can pursue a path of always keeping themselves to a degree where they don't have to create a certain appearance and still be very influential, be really who they are. Then there are the ones who say, well, I'm not sure this is 100% certain, but I'm just going to state that it is. And the wait for the practice to validate. That level of confidence, a person who doubts himself constantly, even though there's not really that much of a reason to do so, that is extremely unattractive for no reason. And And now most females recognize this as a big turnoff, and it's fucking annoying, right? Because then you're gonna be with the incompetent, or worse off, you have like your mind impacted by a dysfunctional feminist, and it's like, oh wow, you know, I have to have a certain standard. I'm this mid bitch that wants like the fucking 100K a year bringing in person. Oh, fuck yourself. You're not worth it. And then gets offended when you ask them what they bring on the table. See, that's where the nature comes into play again, right? Because a lot of women today, for instance, they don't have that anymore. They don't even have the thing that is intrinsic to nature where it's like, the male wants to reproduce, wants to continue the legacy. Most women can't do that. They won't. They've either fucked themselves up so bad that there's no way they can mentally support this, or they just have this weird ideology and be like, this is oppression. I'm like, my need to provide resources to you so that you can have my child is my biological purpose. Without it, I'm nothing. It's a discarding of purpose. That's the social dysfunctional aspect of humanity. Actually, as a matter of fact, this will be very apparent to you if you do understand nature. It's a massive thing. That's why people such as Andrew Tate exist, because they say the stuff that I say, except they're more offensive about it, and they actually have a lot of experience behind it. And sometimes they'll say things for the sake of getting attention, which is probably the wrong thing to do, but ironically enough, if you want to create a certain type of message, you have to have some sort of impact. And saying offensive shit is an incredible way to get reach. 100%. Because everybody's willing to disagree with you and somehow try to challenge you. Look at your replies. Most offensive thing you've ever said, or the thing that could offend a shit ton of people. Look at that shit. Insane amounts of engagement. Look, fuck, I went after the weird chick that has a PhD in offensive smells. Fictitious offensive smells, my bad. Sorry, it makes it worse. And I just put one reply and one post out about that. And maybe you need more too. They fucking had to quote post my reply to try and pull me out. You know what I did? I giga chatted it. I sat there and did fuck all about it. I don't care. I made my point. My point is clear. And if it triggers you enough to interact with me to the point of putting me on your timeline, giving me impressions, well, give me the billion. I'll take it. I'll take it if you ads. It's fine. It's a good thing. It's an awesome thing. That's the most Andrew Tate thing that I can do. There's like an irony though with what Tate is doing, where he says we gotta break the matrix. Like, what are the matrix? A different version of it. You're in it. You can't break it. You're breaking, you have to fucking, commit an act of self-destruction, which we're not going to talk about what that means. But it's what it is. Then again, what he says sometimes on a social level is also very true, because something like that, you have to be able to social engineer enough in order to be successful. Now, it's maybe a terrible example, but you can't necessarily control a shit ton of prostitutes unless you know what the person thinks like. There's just no way. And it's a terrible argument to make in favor of a person's understanding of social structures. It's like, okay, well, why are you so good at understanding how social structures work? Well, I have like 100 prostitutes. Or had 100 prostitutes. Yeah. We had to make them do certain things and stuff like that. And that had to be consistent. We made a multi-million-dollar empire off this, hundreds of millions of something. Terrible example. But you can't make it work unless you have that understanding. That's all I'm saying. It's like, and then, you look at the meritable aspect of what that is, right? There's merit in what I've just said. There's merit in what he said in this regard. But then there are people who ignore it because it's abnormal. They just want to have the easy thing. They just want to have the escape more than the actual pacing of the issue. Never get anything done. There's a certain momentum to getting things done, by the way. The more you get done, the more strange things you take on, the faster you progress. Somehow. Because you're used to the change, and your only constant is change.
It's even often used by the leftists to say the only constant has changed. I'm like, motherfucker, you ain't changed nothing at all over the last couple of years. You're sitting in place faster, destroying everything wherever you stand. What are you doing? I know what I'm doing. I'm nowhere and everywhere at the same time. And this thing above the layer of where all the psyops are, and the anomaly that floats above the surface, because that's where I want to be at. I will touch the surface, be inside the surface, be inside of every single surface that there is if I need to be. I'm going to be macro hard inside here because Microsoft. But we're going to get Intel. We're going to buy Intel. And we're going to make that macro hard. So you can put those chips inside of your computers. So it's Intel inside, we'll macro hard.
Exactly.
We're also probably, since we're a hardware manufacturer, we're also going to have to create a computer that's called a U. The U computer. So that I can say, we make macro hard technology. And it's like the heart inside you.
Perfect. The U computer.
The U computer.
The iPhone is the U, yeah.
Got the 4269 GPU. Well, then at some point we're gonna have the 69420.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the 50 series, but better. And that's gonna confuse everyone because if they're gonna tell us, well, what's the one that's actually better? It's like I know it's the higher number one. All the iterations below that, whatever happened to 68 420? Where's that? I get confused as shit. You have to explain to him. It's just a bad marketing boy. Bad social stuff. Yeah. But let's go back to the thing with the classical music. I listen to it, knowing that it makes me more productive. That's anomalous. So like, Adrian, why are you doing this? Why are you listening to this music? I listen to normal music.
No, it's distracting. It's regular music because it has a flow to it, like patterns to it. Yeah.
I've always wanted to change things faster and keep changing. Hated the stale air in which I was forced to reside. Caused chaos just for things to change. Went to work like age 13. Never looked back to school since. Never even been in school.
The mind that is more accelerated gets bothered by mundanity because there's no new information to extract from. So it tends to create chaos in an attempt to create new data to draw from because that is the quickest path to new forms of learning.
Exactly. And tearing apart a living room is definitely one way to do that. You want change? Okay, tear apart the living room. I did that once. I didn't think I could fucking do that shit. I was a little fucking kid, destroyed a whole place in like 30 seconds flat. Fuck, man. I got some crackhead energy, I'll tell you that much.
I see you.
Yeah, 100%. Well done things as it gets. Elliot is one of those few people, like, talk to him is like, that guy doesn't have a terrible childhood at all.
Yeah, he's got everything laid out. Yeah, it looks bright future for him. He's a smart dude.
I'm looking at his father who goes and plays video games with him. His form sells D's and nuts. Like, god damn, dog.
Yeah, he's awesome.
This bro goes hard, man. We don't get from our fathers, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
One of them to be there for something. And you have other bonding exercises, perhaps, There's always going to be a degree removed. And you're going to have to seek that out. And it's like, it's a thing. And worst of all, maybe you have like a sibling and they have to contend with that attention because maybe that sibling is like the younger one and they're a massive bitch because they're entitled as fuck. It's always got everything in life. You're the one who's working hard. It's a massive fucking thing.
Yeah.
So all people, worst of all, you're the sibling you don't even know. That's actually worse. Like, what if you're the younger sibling that's entitled as fuck? I mean, do you see your older siblings like, why are they so annoyed by you? Do you consider that? Consider maybe helping this motherfucker?
Pretty sure Elliot's the oldest of his siblings too, yeah.
They don't seem to be giving him too much shit because he's getting the good treatment, right? He's got his own fucking internet. Yeah. I mean, stay up until 2 in the morning. Nobody gives a fuck. As long as he gets his studies done, right?
Exactly, yeah. He's doing finals right now.
Fucking impressive, A little naive. Of course.
But most people are at that age.
Yeah, this is fine. It's fine. It's innocence. It's incredible.
the world is gonna look fucked at some point, but you gotta join first, actually, because you gotta have something nice to fall back on. But my world was always fucked, actually. To a large extent, my world was always fucked. My freedom is the ability to exist in a system that can't get rid of me. And to chill with people on the internet, with whom I can experience new things that are completely strange.
It's awesome, man.
How many people can say, hey, I know this one friend in fucking Boston that can give me a ride into Cybertruck?
Yeah, that is amazing, yeah. You guys did donuts, didn't you?
Yes, a fucking parking lot now.
Nice.
You fucking put it on me. It was like, dude, you want to do it? I'm like, sure. And it was random. I didn't even intend to meet him there. I just randomly happened to drop the fact that I was there. I didn't even intend to really do it. Everyone was like, oh, wait, you're actually there? Like, yeah. Want to come ride my Cybertruck? I'm like, yeah.
That was awesome.
That's the thing. That's the stuff I search for.
Here's the things that particularly interested me.
Strange experience. Oh, hey, look at that. Somebody's brought you a little uranium sample. Yeah.
Can I ask you a weird question? That
was great.
There you go, friend.
Do you ever get tired of the, in a sense, decadence of intellectualism itself?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just mentioned that I roasted someone for this exact thing. Of course it is. It's a gatekeepy thing. And only the actually intelligent are willing to have a conversation with you. That's actually good. Like, you know, this one guy who I think is very, very, very scientifically inclined. Gotta be known as Metaphor. I talked to this guy for ages. This guy makes sense, man. He can say shit about scientific stuff and disagree, agree. And it's the greatest conversation that I've ever had with someone who's like this. It's a very, I've had a lot of great conversations with very different people, and each and every single one of them are great in their own ways and the best in their own ways, right? But like for the scientific conversation, this guy had it together.
100%.
That's what, like, for those of you like academics, and you've seen Metaphor in my spaces, this is who you want to be. That's the fucking person you want to be. You're going to be like me. You're going to be an asshole. You're going to treat people terribly. You're going to be a businessman like me. Then you're going to be great, you know? You're going to do good things for people and invest in their potential. But you're also going to be an asshole to someone. Be consequential with the fact that you're an asshole. That's how it is. If you want to be an academic, you got to be more scientific so that I can give you the money. That's the idea. And someone like that is someone who I put up. Because that shit's fucking beautiful. That's a guy who could take the thing that says it's smart and make it look stupid by simply picking it apart in a so neutral and benign way. Wow. It's an incredible thing. And all the rest of them are all fucking sick. You get offended.
In a way, it shows you the absurdity of even trying to approach certain subjects, because there's going to be people like that who have so much expertise that it's like, wow, why am I wasting my time? This dude has a level of understanding that,
No, you can help them. Like, don't give up just because somebody knows more than you. You know, you can learn from them and accomplish something else, you know? Somebody needs to be an intern somewhere somehow, and maybe one day you'll supersede the intern status and become something more, you know? It's a thing. Like being a lab tech or being the engineer's assistant. You're like the little young kid he takes with you. Makes you clean up all the walls and shit by teaching other people to go.
I get annoyed when I can't do anything original, you know? Like that constricts my ability to feel like I actually want to contribute to something. If I can't do something original, then I just kind of give up in a way.
You never will do anything original, except for the fact that everything you do is original. That breath you've taken has not been taken by anyone else except you before. Your carbon atoms are your carbon atoms. Maybe those carbon atoms are part of the trees that you ate, or the stuff that's in something that's been ejected into you, or like the water that's coursing through your system might have been inside of a dinosaur's balls. Like all of this is potential. All of this is possible. Maybe that's what you're breathing right now. The water, the moisture that's been inside of a dinosaur. So everything's been everywhere. And you can do something original in that you have a new experience you've never had before. If you can react to it differently. Same things. A very mediocre thing to do when you win the lottery is to buy a bunch of houses and cars, and then the financial reality of maintenance takes out the rest of one-shots your financial potential in one go. Takes less than 6 months. You're bankrupt. Instead, hold on to it first. Understand your situation. What have you just done? How much money is it? Where do I put it?
That's true.
Do I upgrade my current experience, get myself a place closer to work? Do I get myself a new job entirely? Do I start a business? Do I have a business that I've always wanted to start? And if I could start that business, can I actually scale it enough for it to basically exceed the revenue my job brings in? Could I start a hobby?
It's also true that
it's not crazy on that stuff.
It's also true that
Good points.
having wealth itself, just the act of being wealthy and having to not worry about these things, it kind of I think it changes the nature of the way you engage with the world and also your perspective as well. And people who would just win the lottery, I don't think they would have this this level of, I mean, I don't want to say appreciation because it's not even a question here, but it's more like I guess
you don't have a frame of reference, so how about that? That's the problem. They don't have a frame of reference. That's the issue. But what I'm saying is you can do something that's unique or you can do something that's mediocre. The unique thing is to do something that's actually constructive with that money. You've just been blessed by something that is beyond your understanding. You beat the mathematical odds in ways that you've never thought are possible. And now you have this ability. What do you do with it? What do others in your position do with it? And I'm not talking about going to the LinkedIn influencers, these fucking grifters who live post by post, manipulating people into believing they know what's going on. No. I'm talking about the Peter Thiels of the world, the Elon Musks of the world. Those people understand what it is that they have, like, how exactly did it come to play? Understanding someone like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, except for trying not to liquidate out your friends by diluting their shares, you know? Like they did to that one guy. It was like there was one of the co-founders, and they tried to dilute his shares out, and like lifted it down. How many shares did you do that? How much were your shares diluted? How much were your shares diluted? How much were your shares diluted? No, and none of them were diluted at all. That his shares were like diluted to like point something to represent. Fuck.